My best friend Suqing handed me a bowl of calming soup. I turned around and poured it into the community's landscape pond, feeding 4,000 koi fish, all because I had been reborn. In my previous life, Suqing had bound herself to a motherly love transfer system. Every time I drink her concoction, all my love for my daughter is transferred to her son. I gave all my maternal love to her son and in neglecting my own daughter Meow Meow, I bought an early education classes worth tens of thousands. Yet I let Meow Meow suffer with a high fever. I transferred all my assets to Anin's name, while Meow Meow didn't even have a new piece of clothing, until I caught her and my husband Jiangqing lying in the same bed. It turned out that Anin was not a test tube baby at all, but their illegitimate child. In the end, they drove my daughter and me out of the house. We died under the bridge, starving and freezing. Before I died, the system failed. And I suddenly woke up to the fact that my daughter was the one I loved most. But Suqing smiled and said, "Lin Lan, you love Anin so much that you don't even care if your own daughter starves to death. You're truly pathetic. Given a second chance at life, isn't she fond of transferring maternal love? It wouldn't be any fun if only my love was transferred. This time, the motherly love from the entire neighborhood will be her surprise." 1. Lan, what are you daydreaming about? Drink it while it's hot. Suqing's voice interrupted my train of thought. I snapped back to reality, and she was holding that familiar bowl of dark herbal medicine, looking at me with a warm smile. "You've just given birth to Meow Meow, and your body is weak. This is a secret remedy I had someone find for you. It's excellent for calming the nerves and replenishing energy." She nudged my arm. "We're lifelong best friends. Would I ever harm you? In my previous life, I drank this bowl of soup." From then on, whenever I saw my newborn daughter Meow Meow, I only felt annoyance. On the contrary, she loved her so-called test tube son, and to the bone, I instinctively held Meow Meow tighter in my arms. Meow Meow had just finished eating and was sleeping soundly in my arms. Her little face flushed. "It's wonderful that my daughter is still alive. What's wrong?" Suqing's smile faded a little. "Did Meow Meow disturb you?" "This child just loves to cry." I made up an excuse. "All children are like that," Suqing responded perfunctorily and then pushed the soup bowl toward me again. "Drink it quickly. It won't be as effective once it cools down." I looked at her, my heart churning with turmoil. She and Jiangqing used this facade of caring for me to push me into hell. My husband Jiangqing was very busy with work. Right after I gave birth, he used the excuse of an urgent project to go out of town. Suqing said she is a non-marrier, but she particularly loves children. So she underwent in vitro fertilization and gave birth to Anin. She said she bought the apartment across the hall just to be my neighbor, so that our two families could raise the children together and have a lively atmosphere. What of raising the children together? It was merely to make it convenient for her to have an affair with Jiangqing, and to use the system to control me, turning me into her son's ATM and free nanny. I took the soup bowl and placed it on the table. "Suqing, haven't you always said you wouldn't marry or have children? Why did you suddenly go for IVF?" Suqing's expression stiffened. "Oh, that was in the past. People always change, you know," she urged. "Hurry up and drink it. I made it especially for you." Meow Meow has fallen asleep. I'll put her back in the crib first. I stood up holding my daughter, turning my back to her. Suqing didn't see the hatred in my eyes. When I turned around again, she was looking down at her phone. A strange smile on her face. I guess she was messaging Jiangqing. She drank it. "The system has started. Honey, your money will soon be our son's." I picked up the empty bowl and walked over to her. "Thank you, Suqing. This soup is really good." Suqing looked up and smiled contentedly. "Of course it is." She stood up. "All right, you rest well. I'll take Anin home. Call me if you need anything." The door clicked shut. I immediately rushed into the kitchen. Rinsing my mouth over and over until I tasted blood, I walked to the window and watched Suqing carrying Anin into the house across the way. That apartment's decor was exactly the same as Jiangqing's study. In my past life, how foolish I was to believe it was a coincidence. I took a deep breath and dialed Jiangqing's number. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. "Hey, Lan, what's wrong?" Jiangqing's voice was hoarse, as if he had just woken up. "Honey, when are you coming back? I'm so tired taking care of Meow Meow all by myself." I pretended to sound tearful. Soon. I'll come back as soon as the project is finished," he said dismissively. "By the way," I changed the subject, "did you know that Suqing moved in across from us?" Suddenly, there was silence on the other end of the line. "To Suqing." Jiangqing's voice rose half an octave, filled with deliberately feigned surprise. "How did she end up moving across from us? Hasn't she always lived downtown?" Listening to his clumsy acting, I sneered inwardly. "Yes, I was surprised too," she said. "Raising a child alone was too lonely, and moving here would mean we could look out for each other." I said softly, "Honey, Suqing's house is decorated so beautifully." Jiangqing cleared his throat twice. Is that so? That's great. It's good that you and your best friend live close by. It puts my mind at ease." He quickly hung up the phone. saying he had to go to a meeting. I put down my phone. In my previous life, I was so immersed in the joy of Suqing moving nearby that I never once doubted Jiangqing. Looking back now, all his surprise and astonishment those few days were just an act put on for me. In the following days, I stayed behind closed doors, focusing on taking care of Miao Miao. Suqing also seemed to sense that something was off, logically speaking. After drinking the calming soup, I should have already shown an unusual level of enthusiasm for her son, Anin, but for 3 days in a row, I didn't take the initiative to go see Anin. That afternoon, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Suqing, holding Anin in her arms. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Lan Lan, help me out, Suqing said with an anxious look on her face. My mom just called and said she fell. I need to rush back to my parents' house. Anin is asleep. Could you take care of her for the afternoon? She had used this excuse in her previous life too. Back then, the moment I heard I had a chance to be alone with Anin, I was overjoyed. I left the crying Miao Miao in the crib and spent the entire afternoon holding and comforting Anin. Suqing, I frowned, taking half a step back to shield the nursery behind me. I can't, Miao Miao just fell asleep. She's not used to strangers and will cry if she wakes up and doesn't see me. I really don't have the energy to look after another child. Suqing's expression instantly froze. She looked at me in disbelief. Lan Lan, what's wrong with you? What's our relationship? I'm just asking you to lend a hand, and you're so unwilling. And in her arms seemed to be woken by the noise and whimpered a couple of times. Suqing quickly patted her back to soothe her. But her eyes were fixed on me, carrying a hint of curiosity. It's not that I'm unwilling, I sighed and pointed to the dark circles under my eyes. I haven't had a full night's sleep in days, and I'm completely exhausted, and it is so precious. What if I doze off and don't keep a close watch, and she falls or gets hurt? My words were so airtight that Suqing couldn't find any fault with them. She had no choice but to grit her teeth and say, fine. Then rest, I'll take him back with me. Watching her close the door in frustration, I locked it from the inside. I knew she definitely hadn't gone back to her parents' house but had instead returned to the apartment across the hall. She was unwilling to accept it. Her system had not taken effect. Sure enough, in the evening, Suqing came again. This time, she was carrying an exquisite thermal lunchbox. Lan Lan, my mom is fine. It was just a false alarm. Her smile was much more sincere than in the afternoon. You look so exhausted. I specially prepared bird's nest for you, imported blood nest. It's great for replenishing your energy. You must drink it. Without giving me a chance to refuse, she shoved the thermal container into my hands. It was so hot it almost burned. I had someone buy this at a high price. Hurry up and eat it, then get a good night's sleep so you'll have the energy to take care of Miao Miao tomorrow. I appreciate it, I said, looking at her. Suqing, you're so good to me. Of course, we're best friends. She patted my hand, but her eyes drifted toward the insulated lunchbox in my hand. Hurry up and eat while it's hot. I'll watch you eat. It seems the dosage has been increased. I smiled, opened the insulated container in front of her, and a strong, sweet, fishy smell hit me. I picked up the spoon, scooped a spoonful, and was about to put it in my mouth. Wow. In the nursery, Miao Miao suddenly burst into tears. I felt as if granted a pardon and immediately put down the spoon. Oh, Miao Miao is awake. I need to go feed her. I rushed into the bedroom holding the thermal container and locked the door behind me. Suqing was left alone in the living room, her face turning pale and then flushed with anger. I poured that bowl of bird's nest into the toilet, listening to Miao Miao's cries, and my heart ached as I picked her up. Don't be scared, baby. Mommy's here. I lingered in the bedroom for almost half an hour, estimating that Suqing had already left, before carrying Miao Miao out. The living room was indeed empty, but she didn't take the thermal container. Early the next morning, Suqing rang the doorbell again. She was carrying a bag of imported nutritional powder labeled with foreign languages. Lan Lan, did you eat the bird's nest yesterday? How did you feel? She asked while changing her shoes. I've eaten it, and it's really great. I've been sleeping so soundly at night, I replied with a smile. Really? Suqing gave me a skeptical glance. Why do you still look so pale? She placed the nutritional powder on the table. This is a postpartum supplement I specially bought for you. Take it along with the bird's nest for double the effect. Don't hesitate to use it. Money can be earned again, but your health is what matters most. I was just about to speak. She suddenly changed the subject and looked at my empty living room. Where's Anand's play mat? Didn't I bring it over last time? Why haven't you used it for Miao Miao? My heart skipped a beat. In my previous life, I loved Anand to the point of obsession, filling the house with Anand's belongings. Suqing glanced at me lightly. Lan Lan, have you been too tired lately? I feel like you don't seem to like Anand as much anymore. I sneered inwardly, thinking the probing had finally come. I picked up Miao Miao, kissed her forehead, and looked at Suqing with a calm expression. Suqing, I've just come to realize that Miao Miao is my daughter. No matter how good someone else's child is, what does it have to do with me? Suqing's expression completely changed. She stared at me intently and asked, what do you mean by that? It's not that interesting. I blinked innocently and pointed at the nutritional powder on the table. But you, Suqing, you're a person who doesn't believe in marriage. So how come you know so much about parenting and postpartum recovery? I pretended to be surprised and covered my mouth. Look at all the things you brought me. Bird's nest, nutritional powder. Honestly, you're more professional than I am as a mother. A flicker of panic flashed in Suqing's eyes. I'm just concerned about you. She forced herself to stay calm. I looked it up online. Online, is that so? I smiled slightly. You really looked it up thoroughly. 3. Suqing's face instantly flushed red. I definitely looked it up online. For you. I've checked so much information. She raised her voice, trying to mask her panic. Lin Lan, you've changed. You never used to talk to me like this. With all that sarcasm, I lowered my head, held Miao Miao tightly, and said in a dejected tone, I'm sorry, Suqing, I might really be suffering from postpartum depression. My mind has been a mess lately. I just want to stay with Miao Miao and don't feel like seeing anyone. I used this excuse as a shield. Suqing eyed me suspiciously for a long while, but seeing how exhausted I looked and that I didn't seem to be faking it, her expression finally softened. All right, I'll just say you're too tired. She pushed the nutritional powder toward me. I'll leave this here. Remember to take it on time. I'm heading back now so I won't disturb your rest. She left, and she left in a hurry. I know she must have gone to call Jiangqing to discuss countermeasures. The system didn't take effect as scheduled, so that despicable couple must be even more anxious than I am. Sure enough, the next evening, Jiangqing returned covered in dust from his journey. As soon as he entered, he gave me a symbolic hug and then went to check on Miao Miao. Wife, you've worked hard. I rushed back as soon as the project was finished. He rubbed his temples, looking exhausted. I poured him a glass of water without changing my expression. Well, it's good that you're back. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Jiangqing walked over to open the door. Standing at the door was Suqing, holding a bowl of soup. Lan Lan, I've stewed. Her words trailed off abruptly when she saw Jiangqing, a perfectly feigned surprise appearing on her face. Oh my, Jiangqing, you're back from your business trip. Jiangqing's acting skills surpassed hers by a notch, as he exaggeratedly widened his mouth. Suqing, what are you doing here? He suddenly turned to look at me. Honey, is this what you meant by Suqing moving in across the hall? Oh my god, this is such a coincidence. How wonderful. He warmly took the soup from Suqing's hands. Come in and sit down. Suqing, you've really been a great help, with me not at home. It's all thanks to you for taking care of Lan Lan. Suqing smiled shyly. It's the least I could do. You know how close Lan Lan and I are. The two of them were acting out a surprise reunion in front of me, but their familiar eye contact felt like a knife stabbing into my heart. Yeah, I said calmly, what a coincidence. You two should sit down and chat. I'm going to check on Miao Miao. I walked into the bedroom, leaving the two of them in the living room staring at each other. That night, while Jiangqing was taking a shower, his phone on the bedside table lit up. I didn't move. In my previous life, it was because I trusted him too much and never checked his phone that I gave them an opportunity. I waited until the sound of water in the bathroom stopped, and Jiangqing walked out while drying his hair. Darling, Suqing said you haven't been in a good state recently. Are you depressed? He sat down beside me and asked tentatively. She said you don't even bother to talk to her and don't seem to like Nin much anymore. I lowered my eyes. I only like Miao Miao. Jiangqing frowned. Lan Lan, how can you say that? Nin is such a lovely child, and Suqing is having a hard time raising him alone. Didn't you used to like him too? That was then. I pulled up the covers. I'm tired and want to sleep. Jiangqing's face darkened. He didn't say anything more and lay down on the other side. At 3 a.m, I was sure he was sound asleep, so I quietly picked up his phone. Face unlock failed. I let out a light laugh. Did he change the password? No, he didn't. In my previous life, before I died, he unlocked it right in front of me. The one he was guarding against was never me, but Suqing. I picked up his finger and tried the fingerprint lock. It opened. Holding my breath, I opened WeChat, pinned without Suqing. I opened the search bar, typed Suqing, and found no such person. I sneered and typed Qing again, but still nothing. They were very cautious. I exited the search and started scrolling through his contact list. A contact labeled baby caught my eye. I clicked in. The profile picture was gray, but when I opened the moments, the first post was a photo of Suqing holding Nin from behind, with the caption, my two precious ones. I opened the chat history. The latest one was posted by Jiangqing half an hour ago. She really seems to have some postpartum depression. She's been ignoring me. Suqing, the system must be malfunctioning. She didn't take her nutritional powder again today. She doesn't love it at all. Jiangqing, when will your assets be transferred to our son's name if this continues? Jiangqing, what's the rush? Isn't the house already under your name? Suqing, that little money is nothing. The shares in Lin Lan's hands and the trust fund left by her parents are the real assets. We must make her willingly give them to Anin. Jiangqing, stop rushing me. I'll think of another way. And if that doesn't work, I'll force her to drink. I clenched my lips tightly and used my backup phone to take pictures of these chat records, page by page. Just then, my phone buzzed with a ding. It was a message from the residential community group. I clicked to take a look. It's Suqing. Suqing, room 1202. Hello everyone, I'm Suqing, your new neighbor who just moved in. I'm a single mom, and my son is named Anin. My best friend at Lin Lan, room 1201, lives right across from me. I moved here specifically to keep her company, Suqing, room 1202, sigh, but at Lin Lan, room 1201, just had a baby recently, and her emotions seem a bit unstable. She might be suffering from postpartum depression. Suqing, room 1202, lately, she barely pays any attention to me, and she won't even take a second look at my son Anin. I'm really worried about her, she hit me in the group chat. The neighbors were immediately drawn to the words postpartum depression. Neighbor A. At Lin Lan, apartment 1201, you need to be careful. Postpartum depression is very dangerous. Neighbor B, your best friend is really a good person, caring about you so much. Suqing is trying to make the neighbors believe I'm mentally unstable, setting the stage for her future actions. I watched her hypocritical performance on the screen, my fingers flying across the keyboard. Lin Lan, unit 1201. Thank you for your concern, I'm fine. At Suqing, unit 1202. I'm just busy taking care of my own daughter. Lin Lan, unit 1201. After all, I've just become a mother and have limited energy. I only love my daughter Meow Meow. As for other people's children, I really don't have the time, nor the obligation to love them. I hope everyone understands. As soon as I sent this message, the group instantly fell silent, for the neighbors immediately changed their tune. Neighbor A, what 1201 said isn't wrong either, just after giving birth. It's already good enough to manage your own affairs. Neighbor B, at Suqing, room 1202, aren't you overstepping a bit? How others raise their children doesn't seem to be your concern, right? Neighbor C, exactly, forcing someone to love your son under the guise of caring. What kind of logic is that? Suqing was left embarrassed by the neighbor's accusations and had to apologize in the group chat, saying she was overly concerned and acted rashly. I knew that both she and Jiangqing were getting anxious. Jiangqing was spending more and more time at home, subtly and openly trying to persuade me. Lan Lan, look how hard Suqing is working to take care of Anin all by herself. You should go help her more. Isn't Anin such a lovely child? Wouldn't it be nice for Meow Meow to have another playmate? I pretended not to hear any of it, just holding Meow Meow in my arms. Suqing also stopped sending me those soups and nutritional powders. She knew that I was already on guard, and even if she sent more, I wouldn't eat it. They had to come up with a new method, one that I couldn't refuse, to activate the system. Soon, an opportunity arose to liven up the atmosphere. The residential property management announced in the homeowners group that they would be hosting a parenting sharing session for new mothers at the clubhouse over the weekend. The property management encourages everyone. Moms are welcome to bring your babies along with a homemade snack, and let's share experiences together. As soon as the notice was posted, my doorbell rang. It's Suqing. She swept away the gloom of the past few days and smiled warmly. Lan Lan, are you taking Meow Meow to the sharing session this weekend? I shook my head and pretended to be tired. Meow Meow is still too young, and I don't want to go to crowded places. It's too exhausting. Oh my, you must go. Suqing dramatically grabbed hold of me. This is a sign of postpartum depression. It's because you've been cooped up at home. You absolutely need to go out for a walk and chat with people. Without waiting for my response, she brought in a large bag from outside. Look, I've already prepared everything for you. In the bag, there was imported flour, butter, and a beautifully packaged can of healthy powdered sugar specially made for baby food. Let's make some cookies together and bring them along. We'll use this powdered sugar. It's all natural and even babies can eat it. You can't possibly refuse, right? She looked at me with sparkling eyes, afraid that I might say no. I sneered inwardly. I wouldn't drink the herbal medicine, and I wouldn't take the nutritional supplements. So she turned her attention to this powdered sugar. All right. I agreed readily. Suqing was taken aback, seemingly not expecting me to be so straightforward. I smiled and said, but if we're going to do it, let's do it properly. I've been saving the nutritional supplements you gave me before, never got around to using them. This is the perfect opportunity. Without waiting for her response, I walked into the storage room and brought out all the dozen or so boxes of imported nutritional supplements she had given me before, which had gathered dust. Didn't you say this greatly replenishes vitality? Let's add it all in and make vitality cookies, so all the neighbors can taste your kindness. Suqing's face instantly turned pale. She wanted me to eat it, but she didn't intend for all the mothers in the entire neighborhood to eat it. Lon, she quickly stopped me. This powder is very expensive, and the taste might not be very good. Let's not add it. Oh, there's no need to be so polite between neighbors. I enthusiastically tore open a box and said, "Everyone is sure to appreciate your kindness." Suqing watched wide-eyed as I dumped over a dozen boxes of nutritional powder, along with the new healthy sugar powder she had just brought, all into the pile of flour. She wanted to stop me but couldn't find any reason to, her face turning a deep shade of purple with frustration. Weekend. The parenting sharing session at the community clubhouse was packed. Over 30 new mothers gathered together. With the cries of babies and the laughter of women blending into one, I held Miao Miao and appeared together with Jiangqing. Jiangqing insisted on coming along, saying he was worried about my depressed state. I guess he came to personally confirm the system startup. Suqing also came holding an in, and she seemed very nervous, constantly looking around. The tea and snack sharing session began. I brought out that large tray of heart-shaped vitality cookies. "Come and try this, everyone." My best friend, Suqing from apartment 1202, specially provided these imported ingredients. I held the plate up high and enthusiastically called out to everyone, "These cookies are made with over 10 boxes of imported nutritional powder she gave me. They're especially good for your health. Please, don't be shy, help yourselves." Suqing's face instantly turned pale. Jiangqing was also stunned, and he wanted to step forward to stop it, but as soon as the mothers heard the words "imported," "free," and "highly nutritious," they immediately crowded around. "Wow, Suqing from apartment 1202 is so generous. These cookies smell so delicious. Thank you, Suqing." In the blink of an eye, a large plate of cookies was snatched up in a frenzy. Jiangqing and Suqing stood there, unable to stop anyone even if they tried. I held Miao Miao in my arms and watched coldly from the sidelines. The cookies are all gone. The club, which had been incredibly noisy just a second ago, suddenly fell silent. The mother's conversation came to an abrupt halt. A mother who was wiping her son's mouth froze mid-action. A mother who was complaining about lack of sleep also closed her mouth. Their eyes began to grow, dazed, yet fervent, as if by prior agreement. They slowly turned their heads, their gazes all converging on one place, Anin, who was in Suqing's arms. A mother surnamed Wang dropped the toy from her daughter's hand and murmured, "This child, Anin, he's so adorable." Another mother surnamed Li abruptly pushed her stroller aside and walked straight toward Suqing with her arms wide open. "Baby, your name isn't in, right? Come here, let Andy hold you. Is he cold? Oh my, who dressed the child in so little clothing? He's hungry, he must be hungry. My milk just came in." Suqing stared in horror as more than a dozen, even 20 some mothers abandoned their own biological children, each face bearing a strange and obsessive maternal love. What are you trying to do?" Suqing held an in tightly and stepped back repeatedly. "Don't touch my son." Jiangqing was also panicked. He wanted to step forward to protect Suqing. "Get away." A mother roughly pushed Jiangqing aside. "Don't scare my child." Suqing was forced into a corner, her screams drowned out by the mother's fervent care. "Don't be scared, baby. Mommy's here to hold you. He is my son. All of you, get away." Suqing completely broke down. "5, baby, don't cry. Mommy is here. You heard him. Give him to me. He is mine, my child." The club was in complete chaos. More than 30 mothers seemed to have lost their minds in an instant, their eyes fixed only on Anin, who was crying loudly in Suqing's arms. They pushed, scratched, and desperately tried to snatch the child from Suqing's grasp. "You're all insane. Get away. This is my son." Suqing was forced into a corner. Her expensive dress crumpled and her hair disheveled. She screamed in terror. Clutching Anin tightly in her arms, Jiangqing tried to form a human wall, but as one man, he couldn't hold back this group of women whose maternal instincts had been twisted by the system. "Step back, all of you. Calm down," he roared, but a burly mother slapped him directly across the face. "How dare you yell at my son? I'll fight you." Jiangqing was struck so hard he staggered, completely stunned. And those biological children who were abandoned by their mothers. Some were knocked to the ground in the crush, crying their hearts out. Some sit dazed in their strollers, watching their mothers go crazy for another child. Some crawl to the side, grabbing cookie crumbs from the ground and stuffing them into their mouths. Not a single mother glances back at them. The system has completely overridden their nature. I held Miao Miao and quietly retreated to the corner of the club. Miao Miao seemed frightened, staying still in my arms, her big eyes wide open as she watched. I gently patted her back and covered her ears with my hands. "Don't be scared, baby. Mommy is here. These people, they're just sick." I watched Suqing with a cold gaze. Didn't she enjoy being admired by everyone? Didn't she want me, and even the whole world, to love her son? No, I've made it happen for her, the baby in her arms, and was crying so hard he was about to pass out. The crying didn't calm the mothers down. Instead, it was like lighting a powder keg. The child is crying so miserably. Do you even know how to be a mother, you heartless woman? Give him to me now. A mother even opened her mouth and bit down hard on Su Qing's arm as she tried to push her away. Su Qing cried out in pain and loosened her grip. The mother next to her, quick as lightning, immediately tried to snatch him away. Jiangqing, save me. Su Qing's voice was completely distorted. Jiangqing was also frantic with anxiety. He roughly shoved aside the two women in front of him and grabbed Su Qing's hand. Run. Su Qing ignored the pain, using all her strength to push away the woman called Li's mother in front of her. Together with Jiangqing, they stumbled out of the club's entrance in a disheveled state. Don't run. Give me back my child. The mothers frantically chased after them. The club was left in complete disarray, with only the cries of their own children remaining. I took out my phone, glanced at the video I had just recorded, and pressed save with satisfaction. I walked over to the group of children who were still bewildered and crying uncontrollably. Their mother had already run off chasing Su Qing and I let out a light sigh and dialed the property security's phone number. Hello, is this the security office? There are over 30 children in the clubhouse with no one looking after them. It seems like their mothers have all gone missing. After hanging up the phone, I held Meow Meow and walked out of the clubhouse. Su Qing, Jiangqing, this is only the beginning. Don't you like playing with systems? 6. Su Qing and Jiangqing scrambled out of the club in a panic. Su Qing held Anan tightly in her arms. Don't run. Put down my child. A mother, unable to catch up, grew so frantic that she grabbed a decorative stone from the lawn and hurled it hard at Jiangqing's back. Jiangqing stumbled, grunting in pain, but he didn't dare stop, pulling Su Qing along as he ran even faster. The pedestrians in the entire residential area were stunned. They only saw a man and a woman holding a child, running frantically ahead. Behind them, 20 to 30 disheveled women with frenzied expressions were chasing after them, screaming as they ran, creating a scene comparable to a zombie siege. Hurry, get inside. Jiangqing swiped open the access control for room 1202, and Su Qing was the first to slip inside. Bang! The door slammed shut behind them, and almost at the same moment, countless hands pounded against it. Open the door, give me back Anan. You wicked woman, don't be scared, baby, mommy's here. The door was being pounded with loud thuds, and the doorbell was pressed into one continuous, shrill, and terrifying sound. Su Qing leaned back against the door, collapsing to the floor as she gasped for breath in ragged, heavy pants, and Anan in her arms was so frightened that he was crying uncontrollably, his face turning purple from lack of air. What on earth is going on? Jiangqing leaned against the wall by the entrance. His back burning with pain, he grabbed Su Qing by the collar. His eyes bloodshot as he roared in a low voice, What exactly did you give them to eat? Those women have gone completely mad. How would I know? Su Qing was frightened by him, trembling as she pushed him away. It was that powdered sugar you gave me. You said that as long as Lin Lan ate it, she would love it. I only told you to give it to Lin Lan, who told you to make it into cookies and give it to everyone. Jiangqing flew into a rage. He had no idea about the system's existence. He only thought Su Qing had obtained some kind of mind-altering drug from somewhere. Su Qing was at a loss for words. She couldn't possibly tell Jiangqing that she had bound with a system, and now that system had been overloaded by those vitality cookies, completely out of control. You useless fool who can't accomplish anything but only mess things up. Jiangqing angrily kicked the shoe cabinet. The banging on the door outside was still continuing. Anan, Mom is outside. Open the door, you shameless couple, hand over the child. I held Meow Meow, standing behind the peephole of room 1201. Meow Meow had already fallen asleep, and I put noise-canceling earmuffs on her. I leisurely brewed myself a cup of black tea, enjoying the spectacle. Soon, security guards and neighbors who had heard the news crowded the hallway on the 12th floor. Oh my God, what is going on? Su Qing from 1202. Is she trapped inside? The security guard tried to pull away those frantic women. Residents, please, calm down. You're causing a disturbance like this. Get away. Don't touch me. A mother, her eyes red, pushed the security guard away. I want to see my son. It's only natural. That's right. Anan is my son. He's my son. The mothers began to argue on the spot over who was Anan's real mother, pulling and tearing at each other. The security guards were overwhelmed and couldn't control the situation at all. The chaos lasted from the afternoon until the evening. The mothers seemed tireless. Seeing that banging on the door was useless, they began to change their strategy. They started bringing things from home and piling them up at the door of Unit 1202. Expensive imported formula, boxes of diapers, brand new strollers, mountains of toys. They completely blocked Su Qing's doorway. They even set up a schedule. Su Qing and Jiangqing were completely placed under house arrest by them. I put down the teacup and curled the corner of my mouth. Su Qing, Don't you hate children and not want to be tied down by them? No, you are imprisoned by the weight of more than 30 maternal loves. 7. The door of room 1202 has become a landmark of the entire building. Every day, I can hear the sounds of arguments coming from inside. Jiangqing, can't you think of a solution? Are we just going to be trapped here forever? Shut up, this is all your fault, you idiot, and pooped again. We're almost out of diapers. Go get some from the doorway, me go. The moment I open that door, those maniacs will tear me apart. You go, I don't dare. Cries, curses, and the wailing of babies filled the air. I guess they're reaching their limit. Late that night, just after I had finished feeding Meow Meow and was about to sleep, my phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered it. Lon Lon, save me. It was Jiangqing. He lowered his voice to an extreme degree. Open the door, quick. Let me in. I can't take it anymore. That crazy woman Suching is driving me insane. I walked over to the peephole and looked outside. Several mothers keeping watch in the hallway were dozing off against the wall. Jiangqing, he actually managed to escape from room 1202. He didn't take the elevator but climbed up through the fire escape. At that moment, he was pressed against the wall, hiding in the blind spot next to the door of room 1201. Lon Lon, I'm begging you, for the sake of our time as husband and wife. I opened the door, just a crack, with the security chain still on. Jiangqing's face instantly appeared in the crack of the door, his eyes bloodshot and his hair greasily plastered to his forehead. Let me in quickly, he urged, pushing against the door. The security chain clanked taut with a sharp sound. Jiangqing, I said calmly, looking at him, don't you find it ridiculous that you're coming to beg me now? What the hell do you want? Jiangqing, seeing that I wouldn't open the door, finally dropped his facade and roared in a low voice. Was it you who set up that woman outside? Lin Lan, when did you become so vicious? Me, vicious? I let out a light laugh. Compared to you and Suching teaming up to scheme against me, trying to turn me into a cash cow for your illegitimate child. Who's really the vicious one? Jiangqing's pupils suddenly contracted. You know, of course I know. I took out my backup phone and, right in front of him, opened those unsightly chat records. Honey, your money will soon be our son's. Just force her to drink if she refuses. Jiangqing's face, under the cold light of the phone screen, instantly turned as pale as paper. His lips trembled, unable to speak. The apartment in 1202 is decorated exactly like your study. I stared at him and asked word by word, that apartment, you used our joint marital assets to buy it as a love nest for you and Suching, didn't you? At the end of the corridor, the few dozing mothers seemed to be awakened by the commotion here. Someone stood up, rubbing their eyes and looking in this direction. Jiangqing also noticed. He was so anxious that he was sweating profusely, and reached up to cover my mouth. Keep your voice down. Are you trying to get me killed? I quickly stepped back and shut the door. Jiangqing was blocked by the security chain, his hand grabbing at nothing. Lin Lan, open the door, open the door. He frantically pounded on my door. Jiangqing, you've admitted it, I said coldly from behind the door. Admitted what? You goddamn. His curse was abruptly cut short, because those night watch mothers had already spotted him. Look, it's that man. He escaped from room 1202. Where's an inn? Where did he hide our inn? The mothers instantly snapped awake, screaming as they lunged toward Jiangqing. Get away, don't touch me. Jiangqing was pushed to the ground by them, being punched and kicked. Speak, where did you take an in? Jiangqing's screams of agony echoed throughout the entire floor. I leaned against the door, expressionless, and dialed 110. Hello, police, I want to report a crime. There's a group fight happening here, by the way. I also want to report another case while I'm at it. I want to file for divorce and report my husband Jiangqing for suspected embezzlement and illegal transfer of marital joint property. Yes, I have all the evidence. 8. The piercing sound of police sirens grew from a distance and soon came to an abrupt stop downstairs. Heavy footsteps and shouts could be heard. Police, nobody move. What's going on? Everyone put your hands on your head and squat down. The mothers in the hallway were startled by the commotion and stopped beating Jiangqing. Jiangqing seized the opportunity to scramble behind the police, pointing at the group of women and then at my apartment door. He gasped breathlessly and yelled, "Police, they've all gone mad." And 1201, Lin Lan, she set me up. The police officers were also baffled by the bizarre scene. Who called the police? The lead officer asked loudly. My front door clicked open. I walked out calmly. Jiangqing's eyes turned red when he saw me. Lin Lan, you poisonous woman, officer. I'm the one who called the police. Ignoring Jiangqing's curses, I handed over my backup phone. This is my husband, Jiangqing. On the phone are the chat records of him conspiring with Suching from room 1202, attempting to illegally seize my property. He also used our marital assets to purchase the apartment in room 1202 in full, registering it under Suching's name. This constitutes an illegal transfer of marital property. As for these, ladies, I glanced at the group of mothers watching intently. After eating the biscuits Suqing brought at the club, they became like this. They've been blocking the entrance to room 1202 for over 24 hours now. The police officer's expressions instantly turned serious. Financial crimes, illegal detention, and possibly even poisoning. Take him away. Two police officers immediately stepped forward and restrained Jiangqing, who was still shouting curses. Lin Lan, I hope you die a horrible death. Let me go, Suqing, save me. Jiangqing's shouts echoed in the hallway, growing fainter and fainter. Seeing that the man who was the main culprit had been taken away, the group of mothers once again focused their attention on the door of room 1202. Their maternal love needed an outlet. Boom, boom, boom. They began pounding on the door with even more frantic force than before. Suqing, open the door. What have you done to Aranin? Hand over the child. Just then, a heart-wrenching scream came from inside room 1202. It's Suqing's voice. Anan, don't scare me. Suqing's trembling, tearful voice came through the crack in the door. The door to room 1202 was suddenly yanked open. Suqing rushed out. Her hair was greasy and tangled, her eyes sunken, and she carried a sour stench about her. In her arms, Anan's little face was flushed red, his lips had turned purple, and he was coughing weakly. He has a high fever. My baby is sick. A mother screamed and was about to rush forward to snatch it. Get away, all of you. Suqing hysterically pushed her away. 9. Just then, the elevator door opened. More than a dozen men rushed out. They were all the husbands of these frantic mothers. They couldn't find their wives at the club, and when they returned home, they discovered their children had been left alone. Each one was frantic with worry and burning with anger. Wife, have you lost your mind? Did you even know the child has a high fever? What the hell are you doing here? Have you abandoned the family? Officer, what on earth is going on? My wife and the others, it's like they don't even recognize me anymore. The men's questioning, the police officers' reprimands, and the women's obsessive murmurs of I want an all blended together. The scene descended into complete chaos. Suqing was being restrained by two female officers. She saw me, then saw the group of angry men, and she knew that everything was over for her. She suddenly mustered all her strength and screamed at me. It's her, it's Lin Lan. She's the one who harmed me. She's the one who harmed everyone. All eyes instantly focused on me. I calmly opened the door, holding Meow Meow. I walked out and stood within the protective circle formed by the police. I look at those husbands who are unaware of the truth. Everyone, do you want to know why your wives abandoned their own children and came here to snatch someone else's son? I point at Suqing, who is being pinned to the ground. Because of her, at yesterday's parenting sharing session, she provided heart-shaped cookies, and those cookies had something added to them. A husband roared. What was added? A kind of drug that would make them lose their minds and treat her son Anan as their own biological child. Nonsense. Suqing was still trying to defend herself. I didn't. It was her. It was Lin Lan who framed me. I framed you. I sneered, raising my backup phone which showed the chat history between Jiangqing and her. Suqing, this medicine wasn't originally meant for them, was it? I said loudly in front of everyone. This medicine was prepared for me, because of you, Suqing, and my husband Jiangqing who was taken away. You are in a relationship. The child in your arms is not a test tube baby at all, but your illegitimate child. A collective gasp of shock echoed through the crowd. I continued, you used my money to buy the apartment across the hall for your affair, but that wasn't enough for you. You resorted to such despicable methods to control me, making me fall in love with your illegitimate child, so I would willingly transfer all the assets left by me and my parents to your precious son. It's a shame your plan failed. I looked at her. You didn't expect that I would turn those ingredients into cookies and share them with everyone. You even less expected that your system would backfire. Suqing's face drained of color, and those controlled mothers, upon hearing words like illegitimate child, fraud, and despicable, the infatuation on their faces began to crack, especially when Anan was taken away by the ambulance, completely disappearing from their sight. The tightly stretched string in their mind snapped. System overload, target lost, that forcibly transferred, unplaceable maternal love instantly transformed into overwhelming hatred, deceived, fooled, and robbed of their own child. The first to react was that motherly. The infatuation on her face faded, replaced by the terror and rage that came with clarity. My son is still at home. I left him alone at home yesterday. She turned her head sharply and stared fixedly at Suqing. It's you, you bitch. She broke free from the police and lunged forward. What have you done to me? Give me back my child. 1, 2, 3. All the mothers controlled by the system suddenly regained their clarity at this moment. They became acutely aware that they had been treated like fools. and painfully conscious that they had abandoned their own children for an entire day. The love for Renan is so fervent. At this moment, the hatred for Suqing is equally deadly. The police were caught off guard, and their defense was instantly breached. They stopped fighting over things and started biting and beating each other. "Stop, all of you stop, you're assaulting a police officer." The police officer shouts, Suqing screams, and the women's cries echoed throughout the entire building. Suqing was pinned firmly to the ground by them and soon fell silent. I watched coldly, holding Meow Meow, and retreated back inside the door. 10. I never saw Jiangqing again. He was prosecuted for illegally transferring marital property and embezzlement. The chat records were undeniable evidence, leaving him with no room for defense. Due to the huge amount involved, he was sentenced to 10 years. We quickly went through the divorce, and he left with nothing, all the property under his name, including that apartment number 1202, was returned to me. Suqing's fate was even worse. She was jointly sued by those more than 30 families who had come to their senses. The reasons include intentional harm, illegal detention, and the use of unknown drugs to endanger public safety. In court, she could not explain the existence of the system and could only insist that she had accidentally misplaced the nutritional powder. However, her chat records with Jiangqing exposed her malicious intent to control me with drugs. In the end, she was sentenced to 5 years in prison for multiple charges. More importantly, she was ordered to pay an astronomical amount in compensation for the emotional damages suffered by those 30-plus families. All of her assets were frozen and auctioned off, and overnight, she became a debt-ridden prisoner. As for Renan, because Suqing was imprisoned and Jiangqing was also in jail, he was sent to an orphanage. It is said that due to the high fever and trauma from that day, Renan was left with some lasting aftereffects, and that maternal love transfer system, after triggering that unprecedented backlash, completely collapsed due to energy overload. 5 years later, I took Meow Meow, who was already in kindergarten, to handle the property sale. I sold both apartments 1201 and 1202. At the entrance of the real estate transaction center, I saw a familiar figure. It's Suqing. She was released from prison. She was wearing old, faded clothes, her hair was dry and yellow, and she was arguing with an agent. "I'm begging you, I need to rent a cheap place. I still have to pick up my son." She looked 20 years older than she had 5 years ago. The shrewd calculation in her eyes was gone, replaced only by the exhaustion and numbness left by life's hardships. She saw me. I was holding Meow Meow's hand. Meow Meow was wearing a beautiful little dress and looking at her curiously. Suqing's body trembled violently. Hatred, jealousy, resentment, countless emotions flashed across her face. She wanted to rush over, but the agent impatiently shook her off. "Your son," the agent sneered, "who doesn't know you, Suqing, just got out of jail, can't even support yourself, and you want to take a child out of the welfare home. What kind of dream are you living in?" Suqing's face instantly turned pale. She grabbed the agent's arm, her voice trembling. "No, I love him, I'm his mother, I really love him," but she had nothing left, not even the right to see him one more time. "Mom," Meow Meow tugged at my hand. "Why is that auntie crying?" I crouched down, patted my daughter's head, and blocked her view, because